My old friend's scary story that actually happened. David called me late, almost midnight. I could barely understand him. His voice was tight, strained, like he was trying not to break down. Mark, something's happening here, man. Something really messed up. David isn't the type to get rattled. He teaches 5th grade for Christ's sake. He's got the patience of a saint and a general sunny disposition. So hearing him like that, my gut clenched. What's going on, Dave? Are you okay? Is Sarah okay? He hesitated a long, shuddering breath. It started small, doors opening by themselves, things moving around. We thought it was the wind or just us being forgetful. I tried to be reasonable. Old houses settle, Dave, you know that. Maybe get a handyman to check the frames, the latches. It's not that simple, Mark. It's getting worse. Last night I heard whispering in the house. When Sarah and I were both asleep, whispering. Okay, now I was concerned. David wasn't prone to flights of fancy. He was a teacher, a homeowner, a guy who mowed his lawn on Saturdays and watched football on Sundays. Whispering? What were they saying? I don't know. I couldn't make it out. It was like a low murmur just below the threshold of hearing. Sarah didn't hear it. She says I'm imagining things. Maybe you're stressed, Dave. Teaching kids is a high-pressure job. You've been working a lot of overtime lately, too. I know what I heard, Mark, and it's not just the whispering. Things are disappearing. Sarah's keys, my wallet, even her favorite necklace. We find them later in weird places, like in the oven or under the flower pots outside. I still tried to be logical. Could someone be breaking in? Have you checked the locks? We checked everything, Mark, twice. There's no sign of forced entry, and it's not like anything valuable is being taken. It's just unsettling. He was right. It was unsettling, more than unsettling. It was creeping me out just hearing about it. Okay, I said, trying to sound reassuring. Look, I'll come over tomorrow. We'll go through the house together, top to bottom. We'll figure it out. He sounded relieved. Thanks, Mark. I really appreciate it. I went over the next day. David looked exhausted with dark circles under his eyes. Sarah, usually bright and cheerful, was pale and drawn. The house felt off. Even I could feel it. A subtle tension in the air, like the atmosphere was holding its breath. We searched the house. We checked every window, every door, every nook and cranny. We found nothing. No signs of a break-in, no drafts causing the doors to swing open, no logical explanation for the strange occurrences. That's when David showed me the drawings. He pulled out a stack of papers from his briefcase. They were from his students. Innocent drawings of rainbows, houses, and stick figures. And then there were the others. Crude, disturbing images. A house with dark, menacing shadows lurking around it. Stick figures with angry, jagged lines for faces. And most disturbingly, a figure that resembled David hanging from a tree. Emily Carter drew these, David said, his voice barely a whisper. She's been acting strangely lately. She keeps saying things about a man in the shadows, about him watching me. Emily Carter was a small, quiet girl known for her vivid imagination. David said she was a good student, but lately she'd been withdrawn and unsettling. Have you talked to her parents? I asked. I tried. They said she's just going through a phase, but look at these drawings, Mark. This isn't normal. The drawings were definitely not normal. They were disturbing, deeply unsettling. And the fact that they seemed to be focused on David and his house, it sent a shiver down my spine. Sarah tried to remain skeptical. Kids draw weird things all the time. David, you're reading too much into it, but even she looked shaken. That night, David called me again. Mark, something moved right in front of me. A book flew off the shelf. I was in the living room reading. Sarah was in the kitchen. We both saw it. Did you check the windows? Maybe there was a gust of wind? The windows were closed, Mark, and there was no wind. It just flew off the shelf like someone threw it. I didn't know what to say. I was running out of explanations. Dave, maybe you should talk to someone. A therapist. This could be stress-related. Maybe you're hallucinating. He didn't say anything for a long moment. Then his voice cracked. I'm not crazy, Mark. I know what I saw. The next day, David installed security cameras. He put them in the living room, the hallway, and the front porch. He was determined to catch whatever was happening on video, but the cameras didn't capture anything. Or rather, they did. But the footage was always corrupted. Static, glitches, and distorted images. The only things that were clear were brief glimpses of shadows moving too fast, too erratically to be human. Mrs. Abernathy, the elderly neighbor who lived across the street, stopped David one day while he was getting the mail. David, dear, she said, her voice raspy and conspiratorial. I've been seeing strange lights in your house at night, flickering, unnatural lights. David forced a smile, probably just the TV, Mrs. Abernathy. No, dear, these are different. And I've been hearing things too, whispers, unpleasant whispers. Mrs. Abernathy was known for being a bit eccentric, but she was also sharp as a tack. She'd lived in that neighborhood for over 50 years. This land, she said, leaning closer. It has a history, David, a dark history. There's a legend about a malevolent spirit that haunts this area. David tried to dismiss it as superstition, but Mrs. Abernathy's words lingered in his mind. He started researching the history of the land his house was built on. He found old newspaper articles about strange occurrences, unexplained deaths, and rumors of a cursed burial ground. He confided in Mr. Johnson, the school principal, about his concerns about Emily and the events at home. Mr. Johnson was sympathetic, but he was also worried about David's mental state. "David, I'm concerned about you," he said. "You seem distracted. I think you should take some time off. Maybe see a doctor." David felt like he was losing his grip on reality. He was being haunted, terrorized, and no one believed him. Then the sleep paralysis started. David would wake up in the middle of the night, unable to move, his body frozen in fear. He would see a shadowy figure standing in the corner of his bedroom, watching him. It was tall and gaunt, with glowing red eyes. It would slowly approach him, its presence growing more and more oppressive until David felt like he was suffocating. He would try to scream, but no sound would come out. He would try to fight, but his body wouldn't respond. He was completely helpless at the mercy of this terrifying entity. Eventually, he would manage to break free from the paralysis, gasping for air, his heart pounding in his chest, but the figure would always be gone. Sarah started experiencing things too. She heard the whispers, saw the shadows, felt the cold spots in the house. She started sleeping with the lights on. Their relationship was strained. They were both terrified, but they were also suspicious of each other. They started arguing, accusing each other of imagining things, of making things up. One night they were awakened by a deafening crash downstairs. They grabbed a baseball bat and crept down the stairs, their hearts pounding in their chests. The living room was a disaster. Furniture was overturned, lamps were smashed, and books were scattered across the floor. And scrawled on the wall in what appeared to be blood were the words "Get OUT." David checked the security camera. The footage was even more corrupted than usual. Static, glitches, and distorted images. But then for a split second a clear image flashed on the screen. A shadowy figure, impossibly tall and thin, moving with inhuman speed. It was there and gone in the blink of an eye. David felt a surge of pure, unadulterated terror. He knew then that whatever was happening was not natural. It was something evil, something malevolent, something that wanted them gone. He ran to the window, and there, standing outside in the middle of the night, was Emily Carter. She was smiling. David rushed out of the house, yelling at her. "What are you doing here? What do you want?" But she was gone, vanished into the darkness. They didn't spend another night in that house. They packed their bags and fled to a hotel. They called the police. Detective Miller, a weary, seen-it-all cop, was assigned to the case. He was initially skeptical, but the state of the house, the blood on the wall, the corrupted security footage, it shook him. He interviewed Emily's parents. They claimed she ran away from home a week earlier. They said she'd been acting strangely, talking about monsters and shadows. The police launched a search for Emily, but she was never found. David and Sarah sold the house at a loss and moved to a different state. They tried to put the whole thing behind them, but it wasn't easy. I visited them a few months later. They seemed calmer, but they were still deeply affected by what happened. David was withdrawn and refused to talk about it. Sarah admitted she still had nightmares. As I was leaving, Sarah pulled me aside. "Mark," she said, her voice low and serious, "I heard something disturbing, from a friend who still lives in our old neighborhood." I braced myself. She said that a new family moved into our old house, a family with a young daughter. I felt a chill run down my spine. The daughter, Sarah continued, has started drawing disturbing pictures of a house with dark shadows around it, and she's been talking about a man in the shadows, watching her. I stared at Sarah, my blood running cold. They said her name is Lily. I drove home that night, my mind racing. I kept looking over my shoulder, wondering if I was being followed, wondering if the darkness had followed me. I never found out what happened to Emily Carter or what caused the terror in David's house. All I know is that some things can't be explained, some doors should stay closed, and some shadows are best left undisturbed.